Good morning. I'm going to pause here a bit as people are rolling in. Welcome this morning. Hope everybody's got their cup of coffee and prepared for a great morning. But one of the advantages of doing these online events and in the morning is you can sit at home and with your cup of coffee and lean back a little bit and enjoy the content. But I hope it's you'll find it worthwhile. All right, I'll get started here as people are continuing to join us this morning. My name is 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙬 I lead Minnesota Crossroads Career Network. We're based out of the Minneapolis area, but I love these webinars we do because people join us from all kinds of different areas around the country. Not too many on the West Coast where it's 2 hours earlier, and that'd be pretty bright and early, but every now and then we do get somebody from California or Washington or Oregon, but that's by far the exception. But glad to have you all join us this morning. And I know you're here to hear primarily Craig Anderson. We'll get to him before long. I have a couple of things I want to share beforehand, and I'm looking forward to every bit of the content. We have a number of things available through Crossroads to you, and I will, after Craig is done this morning, I'll run through those so that you can take advantage of the other help we have available too. There's, I always say that the job search process is certainly partly content in terms of, are you doing the right tactics? Are you doing the right strategies to get a job as quickly as possible? And we always want to be prepared with offering the best help we can in that regard. And I think we do a pretty good job with that. But I think equally important is this is such an emotional roller coaster, right? And it's got the ups and downs. And for most people, it's an uncomfortable process. Nobody wants to become a professional job seeker. You just want to land in your new job and move on with life, right? But it's I think providing some hope and encouragement in the process is as important as the content and strategies we provide. So I hope this morning you get some good input in terms of things to think about for your job search, but also that you walk away with some a new spring in your step for the next week, because this can be discouraging. And our hope also with Crossroads is to provide, while we do provide the best help and resources for your job search, but also to point to the encouragement and hope of Jesus Christ. Many frustrations in our life, I think, especially in job search, are when we don't get what we think we want. And sometimes it's even something we may have been praying for, like a specific job, and it doesn't come through. And what I often forget, though, is that God knows things I don't know, that he can see around corners that I can't see. As an example, say I'm walking down the street and come to an intersection and the light turns green in my direction. And so I step off the curb to cross the street. And in stepping down, I trip and fall. And I'm upset and frustrated because I never tripped like that. And it's humiliating there on the street. However, I didn't know that there was a speeding car that was coming and ran through the red light. Had I stepped out further into the street, I would have been hit. Was that fall a bad thing or a good thing? And many times I don't get things I pray for that are actually, the fact that I didn't get it, it was actually a good thing for me. The Bible says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And, I think the best way to think of that passage is that when you trust him with your life and are committed to following him, he will change the desires of your heart to be more in alignment with him. I think sometimes people take that he'll give you the desires of your heart, that he'll give you whatever you ask for. And that's really not the intent of that passage. He wants the best for us. So sometimes when we don't get something we think that's good for us, like a particular job, he may be protecting us from something we don't know or can't see. We can be thankful for that. Let me open us in a word of prayer, and we'll jump into the rest of the content this morning. Lord, I just thank you for these people that are able to join us this morning, even though we don't see each other. I pray that they are each here with a desire to hear not only from Craig and the content we have, but also from you. And Father, I pray that you use this time for your purposes, that you give each person what they need this morning, whether it's boldness in their pursuit of a new job, whether it's comfort in their circumstances, whether it's the right opportunities put in front of them, or just a perspective of who you are in their lives. Father, we're grateful for this time, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Let me share my screen. I have a short video by 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜 𝘼𝙣𝙙𝙬𝙧𝙚 that I'd like to have you watch, and I hope you find it encouraging too. Let me get this set up properly, I hope. And here we go.
2005 season, we're the #1 seed. We've got a great team, a team really without any weaknesses. We've got home field advantage. Everyone's saying it's our year. We end up falling behind to the Steelers in our first round game. We march back. We've got a chance to tie the game up and go into overtime. And 𝘾𝙬𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙬𝙧, our kicker, extremely accurate guy, never misses a big kick, and he misses. Pittsburgh goes on to win the Super Bowl. And now you kind of hear it from everybody. Well, the Colts are never going to win one. They've had all these teams that are really good, but something's missing, and that window of opportunity is going to close up on them. I can remember thinking, man, as good a team as we had, if we don't win it now, we may never win it. And I'm going to have to be okay with that. I think you can glorify the Lord in every circumstance. How you respond to failure, how you respond to disappointment says a lot more than how you do in successes. God has taken some unexpected things in my life over and over, and really, I think, tried to find out if I was going to stay with Him or if I was ever going to get to the point where I say, this is too much. I'm going to go my own way. I started coaching when I was 25 years old. And probably by the time I'd been an assistant coach for 10, 11 years, the word was getting out, this guy might be a good head coach. I started to interview for head coaching jobs, but everyone was looking for that stereotypical coach, looking for the guy who was going to demand perfection from his players, who was going to show that emotion and everything that they expected to see in a head coach. And that wasn't me. How much does this mean to you? How much are you prepared to sacrifice to lead his team? And what's important to you in life? And you know what the man wants to hear, but it's not really what's in your heart. I'm going to give you a lot. I believe I'm going to deliver you a championship, but no, the team is not going to be the most important thing. When I was called to interview at Tampa, I told Lauren, we're not going to get this job. I don't know anybody there. I have no connections. And so when I got the job, I said, you know what, we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will. I want to do it the right way. I want to do it so that our young men are people that the community is going to be proud of. I want to do it in such a way that we're doing the right things with our families, and it's going to be a win-win situation. I believe it can be done, and I believe it can be done here. I came down feeling like, hey, this is where God wants us. We're going to win. Everything's going to be great because this is God's plan. It's not my plan. That's, to me, one of the hardest things in life, when you have an idea of the way things are going to go, what you hope for, what you dream about, what you pray for, and it doesn't come through. That's when it's easy to get disappointed with God. Why didn't it work? Why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? It was one of the biggest disappointments of my life because I did feel like the Lord had brought me down to Tampa. And I had to realize that it worked out. It just didn't work out the way I had planned it. I didn't know at the time when I got fired what I was supposed to do. Was I supposed to look for something in Tampa outside of football, or was I supposed to look for another job, another city? And 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜, the owner of the Colts, called me and he said, we're making a change at head coach with the Indianapolis Colts, and you're the guy that I want to be our coach. I believe in all the things that you believe in. We want to do things the right way. We want to win, but win with the right kind of people, and you're the guy to lead us. And that was a message that I really needed to hear at that point. My favorite passage in the Bible is where Christ says, what would it profit a man to gain the whole world but forfeit his soul? And with 31 years in the National Football League, I've seen that a lot. And so to me, that was the thing that I always wanted to tell my players. Don't put this game first. Don't make football everything in your life. How we relate to each other, how we live, what you have in your heart for eternity, how you're responding to the Lord. That's the most important thing. This game will take care of itself. Even though we, for 4 or 5 years had those bitter disappointments at the end of each year, I never gave up. It wasn't to the point where I said, hey, we can never win this thing, but I got to the point where if that is what God has in store, it'll be a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm going to be okay with that. We've been through a lot, and our slogan by that time was, it's our time. Those disappointments were in the past, but now it's our time, and we got to seize the moment, and we did that. Amazing thing in the locker room. Super Bowls are so different. As soon as you win, the celebration starts. You have a ceremony out on the field. It maybe takes 40 minutes to get everybody back together. Many of our players were just waiting. They said, Coach, we've got to finish this one like we have every other game. We've got to have the team prayer. And we asked that the reporters shut their cameras down and let us pray. And I was so proud of the guys for hanging in there and saying, this is what we want to do. We want to honor the Lord in this victory. And we did that. One photographer didn't honor our wishes. He took a picture of it, but that picture went all over the internet, went all over, and it was really a great tribute to what that team had in mind of putting the Lord first, even at the Super Bowl. Every decision I make in life, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ. I'm going to put him out there first, and my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own desires are going to be second. It's that simple. And if we do that, Christ promised that he would come into our lives, he'd be our head coach, and he'd guide us to that victory, that ultimate victory. I'm 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜, and I am second.
Another good example that our plans aren't always the ones that God has for us, and that ultimately his are better. They always are. It's just a matter of, are we willing to stick in and continue to follow through? Next, I'm really glad to be able to present Craig Anderson. He has spoken for one of our Crossroads webinars once before. One of the advantages of doing these webinars is that we can get people from other parts of the country as well. I'm in the Minneapolis area, and Craig's down in Houston, and but is able to join us this morning. And he has a tremendous background in sales and business development at a high executive level. The last several years, he's a career coach for people trying to figure out if they ought to be an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur or not. I'll get that out. But it works through the Entrepreneur Source, and has helped a lot of people figure it out for themselves. Sometimes the answer is no, but that they're not the right person to do that kind of thing. But he has some great insight to help you figure that out for yourself today as well. So, Craig, I'm glad to turn it over to you. So glad to have you join us this morning from Houston, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to present this morning.
Harry, good morning.
I'll cut out.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so it appears that maybe the technology is working. Harry and I got here early, so we worked on it. And again, Harry, thank you for bringing me back. It's been about a year. As you'll probably notice, Harry and I go to the same barber, and we always talk about the time savings involved when you just don't have to worry about what your hair looks like. So can't see you all, but I did want to say good morning to Brittany, who's joining us from South Carolina. She put that in the chat. And speaking of the chat, that Harry's going to help me monitor it. So if you have any questions along the way, we'll work them in. This is my second time with Crossroads. It's an honor to be part of this organization. I love what the message is with Crossroads, and that it's an organization that helps connect people with their faith and their career in meaningful ways. I think they do a great job with their in-person, and one of these days I've warned him I'm gonna show up in Minneapolis, probably not in the winter, but definitely in the summertime anyway, where they offer the community through servant leadership a way to gain information during tough times. They have a clear approach to encouragement and sharing knowledge, and certainly talking about how we can work God into our everyday life. So I am gonna start this with kind of a dumb question. So how many of you right now are searching for a job? I trust that that's probably close to 100%. I'll give you a little bit of story about me in a minute, but just what I want you to come away with today is that hopefully I've educated you, maybe I challenged you a little bit, and certainly the encouragement. But think differently about your job search. Think about potentially learning more about a different twist to how you look at your future. It's not a sales presentation. I don't sell anything. One of the reasons I started this business is because although I've had sales and operations and everything in my background, I wanted to turn where I thought God had led me, and what's the experiences and the powers that He's given me to reach out and touch people, in their heart. And we'll talk about that, and identifying and really explain to you that you all are unique. One of the things I've found as a coach is that if we do allow ourselves to dream just a little bit during these times, take a break from the drudgery of a job search, I think it's easier to establish a path towards, what your personal and professional goals are. And truly, that's what I want to help you get to that point. And again, this is all about education. So all right. So I've shaved a little bit since then, but it's great what they can do with filters. As I said, I'm Craig. I am a follower of Jesus. I came to the Lord in December 8th, 2016 again, and for the last time, and in many cases and reasons why, it was the result of a transition in my career, the end of a marriage, and boy, did I need help, and luckily an organization here in Houston helped me. My faith has brought me to a point where I really want to help you empower your ways of looking at what the future has. Take control of your career, and again, building that future that aligns with your faith, your values, and your ambition. I was born and raised in Ohio. I graduated from Bowling Green State University. moved to Houston after graduation. Took my engineering degree and in project management, and moved into heavy industrial construction. Funny thing is, all of my friends, and Houston was kind of a boom town back then. Wasn't a lot going on in Ohio, so surrounded by a lot of my friends who were in sales, and went to my boss one morning and said, I'd really, like to get in sales. And he's kind of sat back in his chair and he said, Craig, I think you'd be great. And in about 10 years, I'll feel comfortable in turning you loose. Well, at the age of 24, 25, whatever I was, that seemed like a long time ago. So as it was, one of those friends got promoted to a company primarily in the fluid power and fluid controls. And I moved into his sales position and climbed a corporate ladder. 33 years. I had my own division. I'd formed a division, global oil and gas division, one of the first in the company. Was moving and shaking and doing well. And then a lot of external things that happened in the market led to a reorganization. The CEO who I'd worked for and was a good friend was on his way out. And as part of that, they decided to sell my division. So I took a retirement package. We have lots of things of ways of calling what, you're out of a job tomorrow. And in that, I took some time off, figured out I couldn't play golf, every day of the week. And so I got some more runway left. So worked for a couple of smaller companies, helped them start up their oil and gas operations. And then COVID hit. And at that point in time, I said, I really want to look at entrepreneurship as a possibility. A coach like me reached out to me, and starting my 5th year, and just glad to be here. So I really do have a passion now for helping people explore their business ownership possibility as a vehicle, and we'll talk about vehicles later, to achieve their life goals. So again, hope I can help you, and at the end of the presentation, I'll give you a chance to contact me, and we can have a conversation. This is a great slide from the standpoint of, if you don't think of those dreams I mentioned, are you really going to be able to realize your career potential and find out what your real goals are? One of the Dave Sparkman, who is a Crossroads career network director, had a post on LinkedIn last year. I'm sure you can still find it, asking a question that maybe you haven't thought about or even been asked in an interview. Are you unfulfilled? Are you fulfilled? He included a memory verse what's one of my favorites, is, whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. Dave mentions things like reflection, comparison, networking, all the things that if you're not doing, I certainly encourage you to do that. But what goals are you trying to achieve? What are some of the challenges that we each have? Now's probably not a bad time to ask, why not look somewhere different? Hopefully you're here today because you're interested in learning about entrepreneurship. Do you feel like maybe you're feeling some limitations? Do you feel like you really aren't fulfilled? Is the awareness creeping in that God designed you for something more than just surviving Monday through Friday? I think this is a great time to ask that. What makes you unique? Again, if we allow ourselves to tie that dream to things that are bigger than us, bringing in all of the people that are involved in your life. And if you haven't done that, that's okay. I can help you build a plan that hopefully we get clarity from looking forward to what tomorrow's going to bring versus looking in the rearview mirror. Most of your interviews, talk about your experience and what you've done, because they're trying to put you into a position that they need, and they're looking for some qualifications. But what's unique about you? If you always are looking in the rearview mirror, you're not going to find the direction. You're not going to find your way to your next place. So maybe I can help you with that ability to help you find find clarity and find that path. This is one of the things I changed from the previous presentation, because as I talk to people, you start to hear the changes in their voice as time goes on. So I don't know if Harry, you can keep an eye, but how many of you have been looking for a job for 6 months or more? If that's the case, there's a lot of things that are happening to you. You may have had some successes, you may have had some interviews or some hopes of second and third interviews, but you've probably also experienced some impersonal things like automated rejection emails and ghosted interviews. But this is not about you not being good enough. The game's changed, and it's different these days. I talk to people in the position of being transitioned all the time, and nobody comes back and says, wow, it's a lot easier to find a job these days. So the thing is, it's not just your bank account that's suffering, it's your confidence. It could be your relationships. It could be that belief in tomorrow. But I also know something else, that at the moment of crisis, you can become your most significant opportunity. And Tony talked about that in his coaching career. And what I can hear in his voice is, if you're willing to change your mindset, and I encourage you to pray about that. Change your mindset and to open it up and look for truly, what does success mean to you? Back to the fulfillment side. How can we get you to feel fulfilled? One of the things that also, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is companies have changed. Most companies don't truly care about their employees. They look at it differently now, and it's not necessarily on purpose, but it does happen. If you came from one, then obviously there were some other forces that worked there. But don't get me wrong, I know they're out there, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but as you go through this, and if you've been doing this for a while, you begin to realize that your family and your faith are your team. This is an important thing to understand, is that now the accountability factor in, and through coaching, I'll help you realize that you have the power to take that back. All right. This is a fundamental question, and really how we start every relationship that I have. And my coaching is a relationship. The great thing about this is I get to work with people that, if you're in a corporate location, maybe you don't love all of your cohorts and the people you work with. And I have not had a situation where I've not formed a relationship with my clients. But at the beginning, I want to connect this to your why. 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜, who's one of my favorite authors, has a great book out on your why. Encourage you to read it. There's a lot of encouraging things in there. If you looked at your life a year from today, what has to have happened during that period, professionally, personally, for you to be happy with your progress? And again, the time factor here is just that, let's take action now. Let's build a plan now. So again, we have a great process, a series of exercises, assessments, that really is more of a holistic approach of how you want to think about a life design plan. Even at my university, they've started through some of my work with one of our great alumni, and there's a life design course that is actually taught. And you start with your freshman year, and they follow you throughout your career, hopefully in 4 years. Not everybody graduates in 4 years, but that's okay. But to really listen to what you've learned and what your experience has taken to you. So all about to that fulfillment thing. So yeah, we're going to talk about what's your why? What has God designed you to do? All right. we all know about jobs, and so this is probably the most obvious slide that I may have put up, but these are some of the things that may happen if you continue to just pursue looking for a job. Obviously, there's insecurity. Many of you are probably experiencing that. What about the growth aspect of it? Were you able to go in and talk to your boss about not only how I can grow professionally, how can I make more money that's tied to my input? If you truly are a person who wants to have a personal impact in a company, are you going to be able to accomplish that? Can you determine the culture prior to actually saying yes to that offer? How do you find that out during the interview process? I'm going to help you with some questions to do that, because as I may not have mentioned, I encourage you to continue your job search while you're doing this. I'm going to give you some tools that will help you maybe find those answers out before, versus finding out I've just jumped into a situation where there is a misalignment of this company's values to mine. And again, personal fulfillment, as we learn through science, is really where you're going to be able to be at your best, perform at your best, and really come away energized from work versus dreading when Monday comes up. How many of you on a Sunday evening just start feeling that if you are still employed, that kind of pit in your stomach about, or have felt it, I should say, it's like, uh-oh, Monday's here, back to reality. Keep in mind, looking for that freedom, that desire for that freedom from that feeling, it's not a rebellion, it's about alignment. That's what we want to do. We want to align work to life in the way that honors your design and your values. Okay, here's a slide I kind of like, because it really shows that sometimes you feel like taking a leap and sometimes you don't. Most professionals live in the most are here zone, and we've called it through the 40 years that TES has been around, the battered career, or the battered investor syndrome. Easier to say for some people than myself. And those are really what happens during job searches, job layoffs, the business cycle, and even the investment cycle. One of the things, though, that comes through here is they really want to be on that other side. They want to get to some of the areas that we've already talked about with regards to their goals. And sometimes, it feels like a leap of faith. The part of this that gets me is that, and the numbers are really that, most people don't want to have a boss. They want to own their own business, or own their own control over what is going to happen within this very important part of my day. So it's about control. It's one of the few things that you can do, is going through a process where you find out if there's something out there where my effort, my creativity, and my faith truly connect. Depending on your age, success comes into that. You start to look back on what you've done, and how, in many cases, part of the calculus is, how do I finish strong? My role is to help you explore in a realistic, structured way, how can you put a positive answer at the end of that question? Sometimes it takes a leap. In that leap, sometimes is the risk aspect that comes up, and we'll talk about that as well. Back for the case of freedom, the thing that we do talk to, and again, a lot of our the folks that I work with do lots of surveys. Most professionals, once they've tried self-sufficiency through an entrepreneurship, they don't go back. And these are some of the reasons that they've come back. They want freedom, and that with that freedom comes control. Again, as I said earlier, this desire for freedom, it's not a rebellion, although in our book, We call it your career revolution. It's not quite that aspect of trying to push over and overcome others. It's really more about alignment. Freedom doesn't necessarily mean an absence of structure. And some people think about that and going, hey, I'm moving from to an unstructured day that I have versus one that's very structured. But it really means more to have a presence of purpose. It's really the longing of living life in a way that honors, again, your design and your values. It takes it takes effort. There's no doubt about that. But I doubt that there's anybody that's on this webinar today that lacks a good work ethic. I'm sure you're working just as hard to find your next position as you did when you were working in that position before. So it's in there. Let's kind of figure out how we can design that a way that you, let's face it, make money, support your family, pay your mortgage, works within your life instead of squeezing a life around what your job demands from you to be able to accomplish the basic financial goals that you're looking for. Let's talk a little bit about vehicles for career success. Really, these are I think the main ways that that you can earn a living these days. Obviously, we're part of the job market. Most people have had a job. Most people start off in a job. There are some people I work with that were entrepreneurs from the beginning. In many cases, that's because they came from a family of entrepreneurship, so they learned about it. But then maybe they stopped because, let's face it, if it's a family business, sometimes there's some rough spots, so they went back and got a job. That's always a possibility, and that can bring you career success. I felt like I was fairly successful for at least half of my 33 years. Changed over time, as I mentioned, but yeah, it was a successful thing, and I felt some fulfillment. You can also work and do an investment strategy. You can look at real estate. There are some pluses and minuses in that, but again, this is a way to diversify from the job and look to create income and wealth, which we'll talk about in a different way. And really, owning a business or self-employment is really that other part of the tripod on how you can actually make a living, earn a living in the United States. Small business is still the economic engine of the United States economy. So you'll be in great company if you decide you want to at least explore that. The efforts that you put into a business are in many cases directly responsible for how you're going to define success. So in that, there's a couple of different ways, 3 ways exactly. Start a new business. A lot of people do that. The Mark Cubans of the world, the Elon Musk, in that they've got a great idea. Sometimes, though, having a great idea doesn't necessarily make it a great business. So that's a risk. Purchasing an existing business. Actually, there are some fewer risks from the standpoint of starting a business from scratch. You could have an established record and reputation. But in many cases, when you start to due diligence, you find out why that business is for sale. And in many cases, it's not the business that it appears to be. One of the things I always tell my people that are beginning to start their own business, and usually in my case, it's through franchising, be sure that as you move into this, within the first couple or 3 years, it's a great idea to somehow train and develop a mini you, because that is the most important part of actually, if you decide you want to grow the business and then actually sell it, is someone there who's going to be able to replace you when you decide, here's the keys to the new owner. You'll find that's a much better outcome. And I talk to people every day that want to find that exact same situation. And quite honestly, they're hard to find. Um, the ownership of a business is going to help you on the equity side. And I think we should talk a little bit about how we approach that part of your financial freedom, because really that's what this is about. So, we define, let's entrepreneurship with the 3 F's: freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment. I'm sure that if you've been, out of a job but searching here for a while, you've probably had more control over your schedule. Although the income isn't coming in, but you've probably found a way to fill your time with some activities that truly you may not want to give up, just to go back to work and try to earn a living. That also comes with flexibility. There's a lot of things going on these days. You have to be there for your family. If you have kids, trying to manage their schedules. And again, things happen along the way, through it be, health issues with your parents or with your kids or even with yourself. But I think probably the biggest thing is the fulfillment side of it, in that you find out that if your business really can help you define and adapt and find those 2 points before this, your support for your community starts to come out of that again, because that's how you actually grow a business, is you're servicing your community. You're taking away a pain point from them. You're going to find a better life balance, and it doesn't really feel like a job. So that fulfillment can also help you go into other things, such as myself, and being able to work with faith-based organizations, go back and work with my university to help raise money for scholarships for kids that really need that help. And again, I think that you also can get your faith communicated through the people that either work with you or that are becoming a client, and show them that you're not just in this from a transaction. You're there to help them. And you never know where those opportunities that can come up, where you actually can talk about very deep, important conversations. So we talk about 𝘾𝙧𝙖. I think we even trademark it. That's how we call it. It's a fairly easy concept to understand, but I think I'd take a few minutes here and just talk about it. Income is really that short-term, reoccurring earnings through employment or investments. When we get together and start working together, part of the goals is part of, hey, this is important. What's your income target? What would you like to have as a result of making an investment in a business? People are different goals. This is a very, very personalized experience, and this is why we walk through this. What's your lifestyle? One that actually is going to reflect your values and your attitudes. Do you want to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5? Most people don't. They want to be able to take off for a soccer game at 3 o'clock and watch their kids play soccer. They may want to come back. They may have to come back and work a couple hours in the evening after dinner, but they aren't missing those important things that happen during the day. The wealth factor is really about the lifestyle and the fulfillment of it tied to your goals. It could be the legacy and the impact, the legacy to the family, if it became a family business, or the impact to the community. And certainly financial prosperity is part of that as well. So, do you want to invest in a business that will allow you to control over time your choices and the direction of your life and those that depend on you? It's a very important and powerful question. And this is where we make sure that your family is involved in some of the conversations that we have, because it's very important that your board of directors, in many cases, your spouse is the chairman of the board, but let's build this plan together. And the equity aspect of it is, again, how does this look in the future as you approach retirement? It's very similar to the mortgage in your house. You're building that equity into it. So it's the difference, and again, talking back about mindset, is instead of trading your time for money, you're actually building an asset that you will benefit from the equity that you build in it. When the OE aligns with your goals, life feels intentional, not accidental. And again, back to that control aspect of that. So how can we unlock your potential? You came here. Hopefully this is as part of the steps that will actually help you find out what that is. One of the amazing statistics, and even when I was determining if I was going to pursue this, was 95% of the clients that actually decide to go into business ownership actually discovered this and admittedly said, I would have never checked out this business on my own. I didn't know about it. I didn't know how to look for it. And I really didn't think that this is something that I would feel passionate about, or not only from a passion standpoint, but help me to create a lifestyle and reach the goals that I want to. This is really the essence of our, of our coaching model. One of the stories that I love to tell, I also go to franchise shows because I love talking to people one-on-one. And I actually had a friend in the finance world brought a client or a person he was talking to, and he said that you got to talk to 𝘾𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙧. And so we talked about his story, which was he was a IT sales executive who had been transitioned after 25 years. He was not happy. His lovely wife was with him, who had a very successful real estate business. And you could tell that there was a change that had happened that Brad wasn't happy about. He had been the provider, and quite honestly, Bonnie's real estate business was the fun money, the vacation money, the being able to do the extra things. And so we talked a little bit about some of the basics here, and he said, "Okay, I'd love to work with you." And he walked away and he turned around, and there just happened to be a franchise that was in the pet market. He said, "Craig, just promise me one thing. You'll never show me or introduce me to anything that has to do with pets. I got a dog that's as much pet business as I want." I turned to my colleague and I said, that was probably the worst thing that he could have said to me. Well, fast forward 4 months later, he bought a pet grooming business. And as they say, he's killing it. It was something that grew out of the need during the COVID era of delivering services to your client. They're up to their 6th van, and every now and then we check in, and he makes a point to say, "Okay, yeah, I was wrong, but I have never groomed a pet yet." So I said, "See, Brad, it was a win-win." We were able to find that because through the process, he found a business that met his goals. And quite honestly, with his wife in the real estate business, it was a perfect bolt-on to her business. We do those types of analysis to see if we can make things make sense in a way that's going to benefit the family and the goals that you want to get. So here's my case for entrepreneurship. I think we've talked through all this, but the most important thing here is that if you are a faith-based individual, you can build your business around your business that reflect your values and the purpose. And when people hear that, you will find like-minded people want to do business with people who have that same philosophy. And it's a great way to get that feeling that my why that I was trying to achieve is really coming through. My friend Pat Hyland, who's a executive for one of the brands we work with, wrote a really good book. If you can't find it, sometimes it's hard to find it on Amazon, but I think it's there now. It's called "Stop Chasing Two Rabbits." And I don't want to give away too much of the book, but it's really about living life by design, not by default. Pat and his family suffered a very tragic experience in that his son, who was in gymnastics, missed one of the mats and doing a routine, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. And that reality brought them into, we've got to do something different because um, he's going to need treatment for his entire life. There's actually even I think it's on Prime Video. There's a story of, it's called Hi, I'm Blake, and how Blake came through and is doing great, but still, he's going to be dependent on the family to take care of him throughout his life. But Pat had a very powerful thing that he said when I went to visit him and his organization. And it's right there in front of you, and I read it. I've actually got it pasted over here on my monitor. If you will do what most people will not do for just the next few years, then you can do what most cannot do for the rest of your life. Hopefully, you're not basing what needs to do on something as terrible that happened to them, but through their efforts of business ownership, not only is Blake being taken care of, but they travel with him, and he's become a spokesperson for people that have suffered this type of injury. So again, we're tying it to your why. All right, so these are the building blocks, as I call it, of entrepreneurship. And if you notice on the bottom, I think one of the most important ones is coachable. Some people are easier to coach than others, but we also know that every great athlete had a great coach, like Tony. Michael Jordan had a great coach. So I don't want to get too many into the sports things here, just because I know I've got people from all over the country. But if you see yourself in any of these blocks, I think maybe I could be a resource for you. We talk about the fire in the belly. What has happened that's gotten you to the point where this is something that's really kind of eating at me. If it wasn't before, maybe it is now. Maybe it's something that your mindset has opened up, that I do want to learn about this. What's your path? Again, I don't have the answers. I'm not a consultant, but I'm really good at holding a flashlight as you walk down that path and keep you from maybe falling off the path into the abyss. We definitely take risk and fear on full strength, full speed. That especially happens as you move through the process, and maybe you're actually talking to businesses now. Basically, we say fear is false evidence appearing real. If you truly get your questions answered and you look at this as an education and you keep out of that decision mode, we can take your fears away. Whether it's business ownership, we don't know that. We're not there yet. But let's talk about it. Let's bring it out. And being open to this discovery process that we, as we call it, of really learning about what this business could potentially do for you and your family. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about my organization. We're 41 years now. And this is, our mission is really to empower clients and organizations, the members of our team, the members, as we call the businesses that we work with. We help spread the word of this is about respect of the individual for their diversity and their unique perspective. That's where we start. But we work together throughout this, and we really are a culture of providing opportunities and innovation for others, and have fun in this process is really the foundation. I'm probably more serious than I normally am during this webinar. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll talk about what's going on in your life. And I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that our founder, Terry Powell, began his life as a stockbroker. One of the things that we don't talk about, and which always comes out, and if it's a question in the chat, I'm sure, if you weren't thinking of it, you may now, is how can I afford to start a business? Terry started in basically the penny stock world, and they had minimums. And in many cases, when he talked to people, and these were the old days of going through the yellow pages and calling people and trying to get them into whatever uh, vehicle of success he had that day. But there was these folks that just could not meet their minimums. And he began thinking about what happened to these people who just didn't have enough for me to be able to work with them, but really wanted to increase their income, their wealth and equity. And that's how the entrepreneurship came to pass. So as I mentioned, our again, self-sufficiency is really the outcome that we're looking here, and how you actually approach that and how you actually achieve that is really up to you. I'm just here to help. As I mentioned, this is not a sales presentation. I'm looking for the transformational over transactional. My relationships with my clients are important, and I weave them into my life as hopefully they're doing the same with me. This is our book, Your Career Revolution. If you work with me, you'll get one of these. We'll take some lessons from that, but it's a great reference. I think you'll enjoy it. Harry, any questions, or I'll just open up here for a minute, if there's anybody that has something I can answer.
Yeah, we haven't had any direct questions on here. Certainly comments that have been resonating with what you've been talking about. Just about the challenges and mindset and frustrations people have had, in their own job search or trying to figure it out. I think, you've touched on it, is you have to kind of consider how you have that stack of different traits for people to think about, if they fit into that, as to whether they're going to be a good candidate to start a company on their own or to build something themselves. I think people have to look at that seriously and think about, because I certainly know that not everybody that may want to be their own boss would be a good boss, right? And I've been self-employed most of my career, and most of that time I've had a terrible boss.
Well, the arguments are different that way, it's
Yeah.
and the decisions are made. It's certainly a faster way to make those pivots, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Harry. I think the aspect comes to the culture, and I know you've done well. So sometimes, as my oldest son, who I was pretty sure was never going to be able to work for someone, proved that out and became an entrepreneur right out of college, because he decided he wanted a 5-year degree in entrepreneurship. So it's, some of us are just our makeup is different, but just today I appreciate your time into giving me the forum for saying that there is an alternative out there. So
Yeah.
if
Got a
if you
couple of
guys
questions coming up here. One is somebody that got his PMP certifications, and would that be helpful in terms of running a business, and what kind of businesses would good project management skills be most useful for?
Absolutely. Well, it's a pretty easy answer. It's all of them. We're working with over 300 different brands in 80 different industries, and if you look at anything from a product and service aspect, and I was a project manager at one point in my career, the building of that I talked about, the pain points, the building of a project involves different steps, and the connections that you make with people, knowing that you have that experience, will allow them and allow you to get instant credibility in that you're going to take what you do and help them solve the issue that they're coming from. So yeah, PMP is great. All the people that brands that we work with love to see that, because the other thing of it is that, and especially as we talk about the franchise business, is there's a process that they've developed, and they really want you to follow the process. And project management, you know how to follow the process. In many cases, you've actually even had to write it.
Absolutely. Somebody else is asking, what was the name of the book and the author on finding your why? They didn't catch it. That was that the 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜
That's correct. Yeah.
book? And what was the title?
I got to look back. Start with your why.
Start with your why. That's what it is.
Or the why. Start with the why. Yeah, it's pretty beat up. That's why the title, I had to finally move it out of the way. The book was falling apart.
It's I listened to 𝘾𝙧𝙖𝙞𝙜 all over the internet with different short clips, and a lot of great wisdom there. He's a great guy to pay attention to and listen. And he really talks a lot about your why, but also how successful organizations are run and what matters and what doesn't. I appreciate him. Any other questions or comments from people that we can add in here? I really appreciate Craig's time and insight this morning. He's got his contact information posted there. I certainly encourage you to reach out to him if you have questions and want to follow up. I know he's glad to just have a conversation and see what might make sense for you and get you thinking on, in different ways about your future. And so that's what I think is really helpful in this, is consider all the options out there. I think so many times we get kind of mind locked into this one path. We have to find another job or whatever it is that we pursue, but there's other options too. Another question here: any self development suggestions for doing the work to help with the structure, time, sales, etc.? And he mentions, I have 2 kids under 3, so their house is busy. Any suggestions on business in this phase of life?
Yeah, the thing that happens there is that time aspect of it. You get to kind of choose that time, and we have businesses that, as you know, many companies are asking people to come back to the office. We have home-based businesses that still you can work from home and have that flexibility. So we also look that if you look at the number of hours that are available, if your spouse is interested in the business as well, between the two of you, you'd be amazed at how much time you can come up with, and be able to be flexible enough during the day that you can handle those little emergencies that come up on a pretty regular basis. So yeah, definitely happy to talk to you about those types of businesses as well.
Sounds great. Any other comments or questions? Please put them in the chat and we can address those. Someone asking, what are your thoughts about starting a business through Amazon or eBay to sell a product from home?
I think that's a great idea, especially if you just want to. It's kind of that starter business. There are a lot of people that are doing it, and I've heard positives and not so positive aspects about it. I have a tendency to meet those people at franchise shows who've done that, who see the some of the challenges there, they, again, this is something that's, I think, wet their whistle, lit the candle, whatever you want to use there of entrepreneurship. So I think it's great to start that way and see how you like it. And one of the things that happens is success breeds success, and if you're successful at that, that may be that stepping off to something that's bigger and better. I don't know too many millionaires who have done that as a regular process, but we all know that that ability and to recognize what's there in your why. If that's what gets you going, hey, start it tomorrow.
Also mentions part of trying to get hold of multiple revenue streams.
Absolutely.
Another comment question: any resources about the financial side of starting a business when budgets are tight? Sometimes people aren't in a position to be able to purchase an existing business. What advice do you have for them?
Great question. And again, the real reason I don't bring it up is because some people try to to jump to the end, and that's where Craig always says, don't make a decision. We work with folks that will help you anywhere from credit counseling all the way up to helping you find business loans. The Small Business Association is still one of the best sources of funding for businesses. One of the things that's a really good tip that I'll always give you is, if you're considering this, keep your job until you actually make that ready to make that leap, because they really like to see that you've got income coming in. And there's an old adage, there's a couple. First off, there's nothing wrong with using other people's money to help fund your dream, because that's why your money goes into the bank, and the bank is giving it to other people to help them fund businesses in most cases. And I truly believe that there's good debt and there's bad debt. Your mortgage, your business investment is good debt versus the bad debt of credit card debt and some of those other things that are out there. So yeah, and I know enough about funding to take me to a certain level, but we have several organizations that we work with that will, again, it's the very same treatment that I have. They don't charge you for advice, and they look forward to working with you, and we all work together, because when it comes to the end, you got to fund the business. And again, there's no aspect that will actually leave you hanging on. We're there to support you the whole way.
Sounds terrific. Well, looks like that's it for now, but thanks so much, Craig. Again, appreciate you sharing the information this morning. I hope some people reach out to you, and you're able to have some good conversations and help them think this through a little bit further. And I hope that I'm sure it's warmer down in Houston today than it is here. We're probably, I think, looking at a high of 50 or something like that today. It's been chilly.
There's a whole lot of people when we get to this part of the year, they're saying, will it ever cool down? So yeah, it was actually in the high 60s this morning. So there's hope.
Yeah, there's hope. Getting some thank yous online here too, and so appreciate that. I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit and share what else we offer through Crossroads, so that you can take advantage of all the different resources we have. Some of them are in person here in the Minneapolis area. Some of them are online, and so you can, depending where you sit, you can take part in different things. Let me share my screen and share some other slides here for you. Make sure I'm grabbing the right one. There we go. I think you've got that. But everything we offer through Crossroads is on our website at mncrossroads.com. Some of you found out about this webinar through the national Crossroads site at crossroads.org or crossroadscareer.org. And that's a fantastic resource too. But our local presence here in Minnesota is at mncrossroads.com. And we have a number of different things I'll let you know about here, but you can find all the details and schedules and registrations through the website. We have all of that listed, but there's also a great resources page with a lot of terrific things for you there. We have a job board as well. There's a lot of local companies here in the Minneapolis area that know what we do, that great people participate, and they post jobs to our job board. There's a catch. We use Wix for our hosting for our website, and they just, as of literally this morning, discontinued the tool that we use for our job board. And so I have to get another solution here pretty quickly. So the job board currently is up to date, and I hope to get this all figured out here in the next day or two, but give us a chance here. And if it seems to be down in the near term, be sure to be back and check it out another time. But everything is on the website. Encourage you to peruse that. I think you probably went to our website to register for this this morning, but check out the other things on the website as well. kind of our cadence in terms of presentations are we do 3 a month. On the first Thursday morning of each month, we meet in person at Grace Church in Eden Prairie, and we have a presentation like this. Somebody comes in and speaks. We also have our networking group that meets at 9 o'clock in person, and it's a chance for people to share contacts and leads and ideas with each other and be able to get some encouragement in that process as well. And then also we have, after the networking group meeting, we have Brad Markwell comes in to talk about financial considerations during job transition, because there's a lot of things to think about, not just about how do I pay the bills next month, but also what to do with 401k plans and other aspects that are really important while you're in transition. And so he covers that. And then we also have a micro job fair. We have anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 companies that come in and talk about positions they have available. So you encourage, if you're in the Minneapolis area, encourage you to join us for that. The second Thursday evening of each month, we have an in-person presentation in Woodbury at Woodbury Lutheran Church. And that is, like I say, in person, but it's in Woodbury, which is on the other side of the metro area. So for people that are on that side of town, it makes it a little easier to get to. And then the third Thursday morning is what you're on right now, is our webinars each month. And so encourage you to join us where you can. Obviously, if you're from out of state, you can't join us in person very easily. Certainly encourage you to come and check it out anyway, but probably not worth the trip for you each month. But check out our future webinars. All of these are posted on the webinars, our seminars page on our website. And so you can see the lineup of what's coming down the line. On a weekly basis, there's multiple ways you can plug in. One is, as I mentioned, our networking group. The first Thursday morning, they meet in person at Grace Church, but every following Thursday is online through a Zoom meeting. And so you can participate from home on those. We really primarily talk about local opportunities here in the Twin Cities. So if you're from out of state, that might not be the best networking group for you, but I certainly encourage you to find one in your area that would make the most sense. But you can participate in that each week. We do need to register online to participate, particularly in the online version. So check out the website for the networking group, and you can see all the details there on how it works and to pre-register so that you get the Zoom link. And we also have one-on-one coaching available, and you can take advantage of that anytime you want and as often as you'd like. The sign-up form is online, and one of our volunteers will reach out to you to schedule a Zoom meeting or a phone call to talk about anything you want regarding your job search, whether it's to discuss your resume and get some critique on that, help you prepare for an interview, get some new networking ideas, or for an awful lot of people, it's just really about talking through their situation with somebody that gets it. You know, what I find very often for people is their family and friends might be supportive in their job search, but they don't really get the challenges you face or understand the emotional roller coaster or deal with other things. So talking your situation through with someone that really understands it and can offer some great insight for you is really helpful. So check that out and sign up for our one-on-one coaching. We're big believers in the power of prayer. And so if I'm fortunate on our team, we have people that just love to pray for this group as a whole. But if you have a specific prayer request, I encourage you to go to our website and fill that out on the prayer request page, and they'll pray for you specifically and let you know that they did. And then, you know, if you feel like you also need further spiritual support, that you're really facing a tough challenge through this, check out the details about soul care on our website as well. And you can email us to let us know you're interested, and I'll have somebody follow up with you to talk about how to set that up and have a conversation with somebody on a little more of a regular basis. But I encourage you to take advantage of those aspects too, because I think the spiritual and emotional support is as important as the content we cover. But the meat and potatoes of what we offer and where we get into the most depth is through our online classes. And so we have small group classes that start each month. You can find the details on the website, but we cover every aspect of an effective job search, starting with attitude and getting in the right frame of mind, and how are you presenting yourself, and doing some assessments to better articulate what makes you unique and what do you bring to the table. And we talk about a lot about networking because it's so critically important for a job search, and targeting companies, resumes, interviewing, negotiating, and there's just more. And so it's really making sure you get every aspect of what's important in a job search, and are you spending your time in the right places. But I think also important with the group is getting that weekly light accountability where you're kind of giving updates with others in your group, and just to keep you on task from week to week. And then the moral support and encouragement you get out of that as well. And then throughout the 8 weeks, we also talk about what's God's perspective of your job search in your life, because I think that's an important aspect of it. He's not just concerned with what you're doing on Sunday morning, but he cares about your career and every other aspect of your life as well. So we talk through that. You can find more details on the website. Go to the classes page, and you'll see we have actually another small group class starting next week. Is going to be, I think on the 22nd, I can't remember what time, but the details are there, and you can pre-register to get involved. It's all free. So get plugged in. I think, as I mentioned, getting involved with a group and getting away from just staring at job postings all day is really important. So get plugged in, and you can get more help there. Join our LinkedIn group. If you put MN Crossroads Career Network in the search box at the top of LinkedIn, you'll find two things. One is our company page, which I encourage you to follow our company page, because the more followers we have, the more exposure we get. I was talking to Craig earlier, but I think one of the most common comments I get from people when they attend one of our events is, I wish I'd found out about this earlier in my job search. But getting the word out that we're here and available to people is critically important. And so the more exposure we get on LinkedIn, the better. But the other thing that'll pop up when you put in Crossroads into the search box is you'll find our LinkedIn group. And over the years, we've been doing Crossroads for 20 years now, and there's been over 12,000 people that have come through Crossroads at some point. And we've got about 3,000, I think we're right around 3,000 that are in this LinkedIn group, that are primarily people that have been through Crossroads and landed in a new role and are staying in the group just to be available as a contact at the companies that they are working at. And so you can scroll through and see who else is in the group who might be working at a company you're targeting or applying to, and see if they can provide any insight or support for you in that process. And so having the ability to find people at the companies you're pursuing is critically important to your success here. And then once you land in a new job, stay in the group, don't exit, and stay in the group and be available to others as well. It's a great way to kind of pay it forward. And I think it's a great resource. Plus, there's all kinds of information that gets put in the group as displayed in the group as well for upcoming events. There's recruiters in there that'll post jobs. There are all kinds of other things that get posted too. So take advantage of that, and you'll be able to get ongoing help that way too. I mentioned in the chat earlier, but we have a YouTube channel, and all the webinars we did through the pandemic and the 1-a-month webinar we do now the last few years, they all get posted into our YouTube channel, the videos of these events. And so this webinar will get posted there before the end of the day today as well. And so you can review it or check out all the other topics that we've covered over the years and watch those. One of our other facilitators always jokes about it's not a bad idea to curl up with your significant other on a Friday night, make some popcorn, and watch job search videos, right? Maybe there's better forms of entertainment you can find, but there's great resources in there and great topics to consider. So check that out. If you're local here in the Twin Cities, once a quarter, we do a full day job search workshop, and that's coming up this Saturday, the 18th. and it's in person. It is a full day from 8 to 5. We cover all kinds of different topics. We have a number of speakers that are coming in. And then we also have a Q&A panel of recruiters and HR professionals that you can ask any questions of that are on your mind about your job transition and how to pursue things most effectively. It is one of the very few things we charge for. There is a $20 fee because it includes lunch and workbooks. And frankly, it costs us about $35 per person, but we offset that cost a little bit with what we charge. But we also have scholarships available. We don't want anybody not to attend because of cost. So if cost is an issue or would prevent you from coming, please email us. There's information on the website. And we're glad to provide a scholarship and have you join us anyway, because like I said, we don't want anybody not to come because of cost. But otherwise, there's a $20 fee. We do ask for pre-registration. It's online, and you can see all the details there. So check that out. If you're local, I highly recommend this. It's a great way to get a kickstart to your job search, whether you're just starting your job search or maybe you're quite a long way into it. But to refresh what you know to do, get some fresh ideas as well, and be able to start the next week with a bunch of new things that you can plug into your job search to be effective. I just want to acknowledge this is only a partial cross section here, but we actually have around 45 people that volunteer for Crossroads in one way or another. And I'm grateful for every one of them. It's our volunteers for one-on-one coaching. It's our presenters that for our workshops. It's a number of other people that do all kinds of things that enable us to offer all we do. It's not a result of one or two people, but there's an awful lot of people that contribute of their time. They're all volunteers. Nobody is getting a paycheck, and I'm grateful for their time and expertise and effort they put into it. So as you get a chance to connect with people, I just encourage you to thank them, because it enables us, as I said, to do a lot of different things. If you don't have a church home, I encourage you to visit one of our churches, Grace Church in Eden Prairie and Woodbury Lutheran Church, that participate with Crossroads here locally. And they stream their services, both of the churches online, as well as in person, obviously, and encourage you to take advantage of those communities to get to know some people, get some encouragement, get the spiritual support, and some good teaching. And so I think having that sense of community is so critically important to being successful, not just in your job search, but in life. And so plug in somewhere. Don't do it alone. It gets to be very draining and lonely when you're on your own all the time. Our next seminar, well, first of all, as I mentioned, the workshop, and if you're local here, I certainly encourage you to take advantage of that. Our next seminar is in person only at Grace Church in Eden Prairie, and that'll be Thursday morning, November 6th. So 2 weeks from today. Dale Henry has a topic on for those who want more than just another job, and really thinking about what is important to you and what you really would like to pursue and how to go about that. And so come and check that out. Dale is, if you haven't seen him or heard him before, he's very entertaining, but very substantive as well. And so I'm glad to have him plug in. And with that, we'll finish up for this morning. I'm so glad you were able to join us. I hope it was worthwhile. Take advantage of other things in Crossroads, and hope to see you again. Better yet, hope we don't have to see you again, that you landed a job here in the next week or two, and you're off and running. But we're glad to have you join us when you're still looking, and hope that everything we offer is worthwhile to you. Have a great day, and see you again. Take care.